bit shaky maybe in the first half, but again in the second half, Steve, the Knicks poured it on. We'll talk about the third quarter, but the Knicks dominated the last two quarters, and now they have a dominating lead in the series.
They do, and you can just tell they built off that momentum that they created last game. It was just so big to see that turnaround late in game one, and you were so curious to see what was the carryover going to be. Was it going to be Cleveland coming out, responding, making something happen, and making that lead disappear? Or was it going to be a team that you just played in another 2 7-game series in a row, wearing down in game two? And I think we saw that in some big-time playmaking from an entire group.
It was fun to watch, and the backbone of this team is their defense. I mean, locking down a Cleveland team that's a very good offensive team with stars like Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, they're forcing them into playing a lot of one-on-one. That ball is not moving around as much as it normally does. They're not giving those shooters as many open shots. Strus and Merrill combined to shoot 2 for 15. Yeah. Cleveland's not going to win when their shooters are not spacing the floor for their playmakers like Donovan and James Harden. So overall, that was a big-time win for the Knicks. I thought they were going to come out and play like themselves today. They sure did, and they got a commanding 2-0 lead.
Great balance for the Knicks in that starting five, including Cat, who went for 18 points and 13 rebounds. He's standing by now with Alan Hahn.
All right, thank you, Bill. Well, Cat, first and foremost, you're up 2-0 now in the series. 2 wins away from the NBA Finals. Where is this team right now when it comes to realizing how far you've come? This is 9 straight wins in the playoffs.
We're hungry. We're hungry. You know, this game's done, and now we're looking forward to the next one. You know, that's what the mentality of this team is. So it's great to enjoy this moment. The fans, we appreciate y'all. Y'all came out. Y'all showed energy. That love, that New York grit is all because of y'all. But we got to move on to the next one. The next one's the most important game of the year.
One of the best traits about this team is how selfless everybody is. Throughout the season, we've seen different players, yourself included, be selfless. When the game is not your game, do other things. Josh Hart talked about that in game one. And in this game, he kept shooting. He trusted the shot. They were letting him shoot. How do you feel about the performance that he put on in this game with them leaving him open?
I mean, he's special, man. He does all the things that we need to win. He impacts winning at the highest level. And you talk about selfless. This team, selfless, the traits, that mentality. Honestly, I contributed to the man behind you, and John Calipari, man, for real. That's the man who taught me that trait at the highest level.
All right, well, I have to ask you about yourself and your performance because you had a double-double. And since the fourth quarter of game one, you have been a monster on the boards. When you think about your impact on this series, how big of an impact is your rebounding?
I mean, I think it's everything. They got 2 very talented bigs, in my opinion, some of the best bigs in the world. So you got to go out there, you got to compete, and impact winning. I always talk about impact and winning. That's all I want to do for this team, this city. And I think every quarter is a new story. You know, maybe in the first second I got to be very aggressive scoring, and then as the game goes along, maybe my teammates like Josh Hart, Jalen in the fourth, Mr. Clutch, you know, and my job is then to get the rebounds, get the stops, play that defense that's needed to win the game.
On to Cleveland. Congratulations, Cat. Thanks for the time.
Appreciate it.
Back to you, Bill.
All right, Alan, big plays presented by Four Leaf Credit Union. Guys, Cat, the 18 points, only needed 12 shots, and Steve, he made 3 threes.
He made 3 threes, but I think what you've heard from him all year, and you just heard with him talking to Alan right there, is how does he impact winning? We've seen him facilitate. We've seen him crash the glass, be one of the best rebounders in the league all year. And obviously, when he gets in his bag and he's knocking down threes and scoring the ball, he's at his best. But you just got to love how he lets the game come to him, and his ability to stretch the floor and knock down big threes in this game, I thought, was what put it over the top tonight.
Yeah, and for a guy who's been an all-star 6, 7 times, whatever it is, he plays very unselfishly. I mean, he doesn't hunt shots. He plays the right way. He plays within the offense. He loves making his teammates better. That's the bottom line. Superstars make each other better. And he made some big, key, back-breaking shots. When, you know, Cleveland plays some good defensive possessions, then all of a sudden there's one on the shot clock, and you just throw it out to your 7-footer, and he drills a 3 from the corner. I mean, that demoralizes the Cavs team. That demoralizes an opponent. So the talent level that he has is just unbelievable at a guy his size, and he's showing it in these playoffs. He's playing some of his best basketball.
Now, you're talking about a potential carryover from game one. The Cavs led, guys, after the first quarter. And at the half, the Knicks were only up by 4. But overall here, the Cleveland three-point shooting, 9 of 35.
Yeah.
And Sam Merrill in that first half, of course, he missed a heartbreaker that would have won the game in game one at the buzzer. He was like 1 for 6 in the first half from 3. If Cleveland, Steve, and we were talking about watching the game, if they hit some of those open threes, maybe it's a different game, but they couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, no, and I think it was absolutely what changed the game. I think if you think about it, if they made some of just those open looks in that first half, it would have been a different game.
Yeah.
Because you just know when a team is coming out and they're trying to respond. If you have the court spread and you have Donovan Mitchell going down the middle and you have Harden comfortable, you've got Strus, you've got Mobley, you've got guys like Merrill who didn't make a three in this game and, like you said, missed a heartbreaker. So the question is for a guy like Merrill, he had a heartbreaker of a shot. The team had a heartbreaker of a game. What were they going to do? How were they going to respond? Now they lost this game. Merrill had an 0 for 7 shooting night.
Yes.
And I think that's very telling that they've actually dug a bigger hole. And you got to give this Knicks team a lot of credit for putting them in that hole.
All right, so it's a 4-point game at the half. Third quarter of boom for the Knicks. 18-0 run, Wally. 53 all, became 71-53 in favor of the Knicks. They went up by 18 points.
Total opposite of game one, because in game one, that's when the Cavs took control of this game, of the game. But in this one, the Knicks came out focused out of the locker room. They really did. Josh Hart just taking advantage of the game plan, which was to dare him to score and shoot, and boy, did he totally dispel that notion. And I don't know what the Cavs are going to do, because you can't leave that guy open like that. He is going to absolutely make you pay. He was the Knicks' leading scorer tonight. I mean, he just continued to shoot, continued to attack. Jalen Brunson with 14 assists. I want to know how many of those assists went to his roommate, Josh Hart. And Josh Hart led the team with 26. Nobody else in the 20s. That's how unselfishly this team plays. They were just making the right play. And that's all coaching. I mean, this coaching staff has this Knicks team just playing selfless, just team basketball personified.
And guys, that was tonight's thrilling moment brought to you by FanDuel Casino. Get your thrill on as the Knicks are able to dominate the third quarter and go on to win 109-93. You see the numbers. I mentioned the three-point shooting. Steve, how about the free throws? Cavs killed themselves at the line, too. 22 of 32. You see the rest of the numbers. But when you really boil it down, the Cavs just did not shoot well enough to contend in this game.
No, and I think you hear so often that it's a make-or-miss league. And you think, what does that even mean? Of course it's a make-or-miss league. You got to make shots. But this is when I think you can really see it. There are open shots. Merrill had open shots. Strus had open shots. Mobley had open looks. Those guys missed open shots. Not great defense by the Knicks every possession. Sometimes you say, way to contest, way to really make it a tough shot. We're talking about free throws. We're talking about the open three-point shots that this Cavs team missed, because if they made those early in the first half, I think you're talking about maybe a 10 or 12-point lead for the Cavs at half. And instead, that wasn't the case. They never were able to get it going. And I think now, as we think and talk more about how quick of a turnaround this was for Cleveland, now we're 2 games into this series.
They look tired.
They look a little bit tired. Those legs look a little heavy. The shots aren't going down, and there's a big, big burden on guys like Harden and others to attack and to step up around Mitchell.
And guys, we're going to talk about Josh Hart. I mean, basically not playing in game one because he wasn't able to shoot, and he was on fire.
And really to have the confidence and to understand, if you're this guy, the heart of New York, that without him, if he doesn't get going, if he doesn't make shots, if he doesn't have 26 points, along with 7 big assists, I think you should mention, this team is probably not going to go where they want to go. They're not going to be able to beat that next level team or even close out this series.
One of the strategic approaches, let Josh Hart shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that didn't work tonight.
Well, now they're in trouble. And if he can continue to do this, they are even more bona fide championship contenders. Because what he does all over the floor, it's irreplaceable. His defense, his rebounding, his intangibles, his loose balls, like the smarts that he plays with. Now when he looks to score, I mean, he becomes just a superstar level player and an all-star level player when he looks to be effective on the offensive end of the floor. So whoever they play, if you can't game plan against him and let him shoot, that's big problems for the opponents.
So you got Hart going for the 26. Turns out Jalen Brunson didn't have to score a ton. Did go for 19. Also a career playoff high, 14 assists. It's tonight's dime drop presented by Corona. A lot of dimes, Steve, from Jalen Brunson tonight.
Well, he's just got so many tools in his tool belt. He can facilitate, he can shoot the three, he can score in the paint. And I think you saw in this series so far, 2 games, he is 2 for 13 from 3. But guess what? Who cares? Because he's facilitating, he's getting 14 assists. Wally was joking at the break. He said he loves seeing his roommate get going. He was finding them. But I think you're right. He has a true joy and a happiness with those kind of passes. making it happen. And as long as this group is shining, if you're willing to take $100 million less to play here because you want to be here, guess what? You want to make sure your legacy is in good hands, and it sure seems to be right now.
No question. And I think this is just like Mike Brown came in and he wanted the team to trust each other and not just play iso ball. And 14 assists Jalen Brunson had. I mean, how many times in years past have we said the Knicks can't win because Jalen has the ball in his hands all the time and he doesn't get everyone else involved and you can't win a championship iso one-on-one? Well, that's different this year, and these are the numbers that prove it.
Only took 4 shots in the first half.
Yeah.
Only scored 2 points in the first half, and the Knicks were still up at the half by 4 points. What's amazing to me, guys, and you're the former player, he's always able to acclimate his game to what the team needs. Yeah. He had everybody else scoring tonight, focused on passing.
Well, and I think when you can score the ball, you can win a lot of regular season games. But when you can take what the defense gives you and you have the guys around you who can step up, and that's one trend we've seen all year long. If it's Josh Hart stepping up, last game if it was Landry Shamet stepping up for a while, Mikal Bridges struggled at times this year, all of a sudden he's a new player. Guys like Jordan Clarkson, you just think about the guys that have come in and stepped up. And so for a guy like Jalen Brunson, he would probably not pass the ball if he didn't think he had guys who could get it done, but he does. And so what a great job by this front office to put those pieces around him and to allow him to be the star that he's been, shooting or facilitating.
No question. Bridges was 9 for 12 tonight. I mean, the guy doesn't miss. He hasn't missed in the playoffs since Game 4, the Game 3 in Atlanta. I mean, it seems like every single game he's over 50%. And there were some habits that had to be broken on the way the team was played and coached last year. And I think now we're seeing the way some of those habits are broken. The ball's in other people's hands. The ball's moving a lot more, a la Golden State Warriors. I mean, Mike Brown coached under Steve Kerr. He brought that offensive philosophy to this team. It took a while for this team to believe in it and trust in it. And now that we're seeing the trust, fall through and actually be come to fruition, this team is impossible to guard the way they're playing. I mean, these statistical numbers, 52% from the field, 36% from 3. In the playoffs, that's when the defenses are locked in on you. Right. They know exactly what you're running every single time down the floor. You remember, we used to watch film, we had discs, we had this and that on each individual play. You knew exactly what the other team was doing every single game in a 7-game series, and the Knicks are just finding ways to score no matter what.
You know what's interesting? We talked a lot about Cat being the hub of the offense. Only 1 assist for him tonight. The other approach has been ISO Jalen Brunson. Didn't have ISO Jalen Brunson tonight. So what was it? Just complete ball movement among all 5 starters? Because the approaches that we've seen leading up to tonight weren't necessarily present tonight.
No, you're right, and I think it just speaks to the versatility of this group. And I know we were having a conversation during Game 1. You said, how in the heck can you just give Cat the ball, allow him to facilitate, and everybody just figures it out immediately? You said, is it something they already had in place, or are they that skilled that they can adjust? And I think tonight is another example of that, where you can make adjustments because you have the luxury of the versatility that this group plays with. And a guy like Mikal Bridges is versatile. Yeah. You think about an OG Anunoby. You think about just the ability of what we just talked about with Jalen Brunson to be so many things, to wear so many hats, and to be a different guy. This is a guy who, he's one of 6 guards in NBA history in 50-plus playoff games to average 30 or more points. We're talking about how few of points he scored. He's willing and able to do so much more, but it's part him. It's part, like you said, Coach Brown, his willingness to put in a great offense, but it's also this whole group, the guys he has around him, ability to step up and deliver when he plays like that.
The adjustment tonight was they're not going to guard Josh Hart. He's going to be our guy. He was the leading scorer. And the Knicks just said they take what the defense gives them. Yeah. And that's a coaching adjustment, too. It's a player adjustment. He made a couple threes. They're locking down on Towns. They're locking down on Brunson. They're like, they're leaving this guy wide open? All right, here you go. Here you go, Josh. Go for 20.